basketball fans we have in here? Got a couple, right? The next person I want to introduce you guys to is he's in the Hall of Fame in Indiana. Bobby Knight, right?
No.
You played against Bobby Knight in the '60s. He's a personal friend. He's a personal friend of mine. Randy Melanson. He's a co-owner of Health and Wellness Products. He would like to talk to you guys today about being the best you can be.
Thank you, Randy. Well, how many of you have seen the movie The Hoosiers? A few of you? You remember? Yeah, you remember that? It's about a little town in Indiana, right? In the movie they call it Hickory. It was actually Milan, Indiana. This is a very small school, had about 40 students in the senior class. There were no divisions, so all schools played each other. The starting center on that team was my high school math teacher. Well, good evening, my name is Randy Milan. I didn't play in the 60s, and he's trying to make gold. It was actually the 70s. And I'm from Batesville, Indiana. Anybody heard of Batesville? Roll of caskets are made. It's a town of 3,000 people, and we were about 10 miles from Milan, Indiana, the winner of that game. Our town had 3,000 people. Our gymnasium sat 3,200. If you've seen the movie The Hoosiers, you understand my background and upbringing. Do you remember the final game? How many remember that, right? They go on to win it. It was actually filmed in Butler's Hinkle Fieldhouse. My senior year in high school, we played in that same gym. Our record going into that game was 26 wins and 1 loss. Our only loss was a 6 overtime game to Connersville. They'd win the whole state title the next year. Now I know what some of you are thinking. How do you play a 6 overtime game, right? Well, back then, at the end of each overtime period, we had a jump ball. Well, I was jumping, and I couldn't win a jump. I just felt out of energy. Just couldn't win a jump. They'd win the jump, hold it from the last shot. They'd miss, right? 5 times they missed. 6 times, they didn't miss. Well, we'd meet them again in the regionals. This time, there was no overtime. I won 3 out of the 4 jump balls, and I had energy. And now we're in the state tournament with the final 16 teams. Now let me ask you this question. Now, I think you have it in football too. How many of you have been in the zone? You know what the zone is? Yeah, you know, right? You make every tackle. Nobody can stop you, right? That guy is playing against you, he's not catching that ball, right? That's called in the zone. Well, in basketball, it was making every shot, getting every rebound. And I remember being in that zone. One high school game, I had 27 points at halftime. And I'm thinking, I'm going for the school record. I didn't even know what the school record was, but I was going to get it. Well, it didn't happen. I fouled out with 5.5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. I had 34 points. Our team, however, still has the school record for the most points in the game. We had 120 points. Now that's a lot of points for 4 8-minute quarters. A lot of points. And I was in the zone. I remember a game in college when I had 31 rebounds. That's a lot of rebounds. Yeah. And I'm thinking, I didn't keep the stat sheet. I think I'll get that many next game. Never happened. My kids don't even believe that I got 31 rebounds in the game, right? I did. I remember an away game, and I'm asking my roommate, he said, why is it that some games I'm just unstoppable? And he had a rather profound answer. He said, gee, I wish I knew. A lot of help he was. So, let's ask the $100,000 question. What do you have to do to get in the zone? What's that worth to you, that information? I'm going to tell you right now. I never figured it out back then. But since, over time, I figured it out. Number 1, effort. You've got to give it all you got. Without a 100% effort, you will never, ever, ever get into the zone. Vince Lombardi, famous coach of the Green Bay Packers, said, a man can be as great as he wants to be. If you believe in yourself and have the courage, the determination, the dedication, the competitive drive, and if you're willing to sacrifice the little things in life and pay for the price for the things that are worthwhile, it can be done. Number 2, practice. When you practice, you've got to give it your 100%. You can't take practices off. Billie Jean King, the famous female tennis player, said, champions keep playing until they get it right. And number 3, confidence. In the game of basketball, you've got to believe that every shot you're going to take is going in. I can assure you that Michael Jordan thought every shot he took was going in. But you know, he missed more shots in his career than he made. Now there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. So be real careful. Don't ever let your confidence cross over to arrogance. Be humble. Some of you are very, very talented players. Be humble. Well, in college, after my sophomore year, my coach left Tennessee Tech and went to another school. And he came back to visit. He said, Randy, man, I've recruited this player. He's unbelievable. He could shoot from 30 feet, rebound, and pass like nobody you've ever seen. I said, yeah, right. You probably said that about me. He didn't. He never said that about me. But look, I said, tell me his name, and I'll file it away and see if he ever amounts to anything. He says, well, his name is Larry Bird. He might have been telling the truth, right? So Larry Bird went on to play at Indiana State University. Some of you might remember they played Magic Johnson in 1979. But what you don't probably know is before Larry Bird went to Indiana State and got recruited off a garbage truck by my coach, he went to Indiana University for about 2 weeks in the summer. Indiana University's first 8 players all got drafted in the first round. They were that good. My senior year in college, we played Indiana University. Woo! Don't have time to tell that story. Bobby Knight, that was you'd like that one. Indiana University average beating Big Ten teams by 40 points. So why would Larry Bird leave? You know, those players were beating the heck out of Larry Bird. And I think he had a momentary lapse in confidence. He lacked confidence, but he got it back. He got it back. Point number 4. You've got to have dreams or visualization. You've got to be able to see yourself doing it. Making the shot, catching the pass, making the interception, the tackle, the block, making the play. Now, how many of you have a dream of playing in the NFL? Several of you, right? That's great. Have that dream. Don't let anybody take your dream away. Because several players that played in this game are now playing in the NFL. Andy Dalton, Alfred Morris, Trent Williams, to name a few. If you have that dream, that's great. But let's just pause here for just a moment and talk about academics. Now, a couple of previous speakers talked about academics and how important it was, right? What if you don't make the NFL? You're going to need a backup plan. And if you do make the NFL, you're going to need a good education to manage all that money. I remember in school talking to a couple of my guys. I said, "What are you doing? Why aren't you studying?" I remember getting home at 4 o'clock on a road trip. Had an 8 o'clock class that morning. Where do you think I was at 8 o'clock? I was in that class. I was there. Now, I might have been sleeping. But I was there. So don't miss classes. Some of the guys I played with said, "Randy, I wish I'd have listened to you back then. I wish I'd have studied harder. I wish I'd have got my degree." And now they regret it, but they didn't. So I'm trying to give you a little advance notice on that. You see, my dream was to go to college and get a degree in chemical engineering. That was my dream. I got a BS and a master's. In fact, after my senior year, the football coach came to see me. He said, "Man, why don't you come play football for the 5th year? You'll be a great tight end." Because I love contact playing basketball. I said, "Man, are you crazy? I can see myself as a tight end coming across at one of you safeties out there, right? Come smack and break me in half." I love football, but I wasn't going to do it. And now, point number 5. And for the most important point about getting into the zone. The pros have it figured out. Tom Brady, Drew Brees have it figured out. pro baseball teams haven't figured out. What is it? What's that word to you? Well, it's all about, believe it or not, hydration. You've got to be fully hydrated. What? When I was growing up, in high school and college, I didn't like to drink a lot of water, right? Because it'd slosh around in my stomach. It kind of weighed me down. And I was never the world's greatest jumper, so I didn't want that. But you've got to be fully hydrated. In fact, it's been scientifically proven that if your body is 1% less than optimal hydration, that equates to a 3% reduction in performance. Who could give up 3% on their 40 time? Who could give up 3% on your jumping time? How about your blocking time, your strength? Yeah, 3% is a lot. You gotta be fully hydrated with the right kind of water. We're actually going to provide the right kind of water, the same water Tom Brady and Drew Brees are drinking to you this week. I never understood the importance of hydration. And now, how are you told water gets into your cells? I won't spend a lot of time on this because some of you are like, well, if you're like me, when I was in school, I was taught it got in by osmosis. Well, that's not true. In fact, in 2003, two guys won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for figuring out that our cells have a water channel in it, and it's called an aquaporin. This aquaporin is very, very narrow. Well, what happens to water molecules? All tap water and all bottled water, these water molecules start doing this. They start sharing electrons. Instead of being a single molecule, right now my chemical engineering comes into play, and they get real big. And they won't fit into that water channel. And if you're not hydrated, I can assure you, you will not get into the zone. So there you have it. The 5 keys getting into the zone: effort, practice, confidence, dreams, visualization, and goals. Forgot to tell you one goal that I had. In order to have a goal, you got to have an action plan and know what you're doing. 9 months ago, I weighed 335 pounds. And I set a goal to lose 100 pounds. And I developed an action plan to do that. I'm well on my way. I've lost 80 pounds. And I'm going to lose the remaining 20. And finally, hydration. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you the rest of the story, didn't I? We're playing the state finals, right? That same gym where the Hoosiers were played. I must have said something funny, huh? Okay. No, I didn't forget. We're going to the fourth quarter. We have a 10-point lead. Kent Benson, the future #1 draft pick in the NBA draft, is sitting on the bench because my coach told him, get him in foul trouble. So he's sitting on the bench. We have a 10-point lead. How do you lose that game, right? Well, we did. Some knucklehead on our team fouled out with 3 minutes to go, and we lose by 2. Okay, yeah, I was that knucklehead. So why did we lose? So, well, that knucklehead fouled out, right? No, I don't think that was it. I think we lost because we didn't have a dream of being state champs. That was not our dream. I think we were just content getting there. Let's close with this quote from the legendary basketball coach at UCLA, John Wooden. He said, "Don't give up on your dreams, or your dreams will give up on you." Now, I don't know what your dreams are. Play in the NFL, become a doctor, a teacher, an engineer, a football coach. But I do know this, and remember it well. Don't give up on your dreams, or your dreams will give up on you.